All right, I want to call this regular meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. I'm going to call on Magistrate Scott Poston to lead us in a word of prayer. We'll follow that with the pledge. And we obviously today, we want to remember a couple of county employees. One is longtime coroner, deputy coroner, Gary Crafton, that's passed away, and then our fire chief's mother passed away. So we definitely want to remember those guys and those families in our prayers this morning. Scott.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you, Lord, for this day and the many blessings that you've given us in life. Father, today we just lift up the Goodrin family, Father, and the Crafton family. We just pray that you would comfort them as only you can. Father, we pray today that you'll be with us through this meeting and all that is said and done be pleasing to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, gentlemen, if y'all had the opportunity to review the minutes of our January 19th regular meeting, we just need a motion and a second to pass those minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Marty, second by Nate. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is if you had a chance to review, we need a motion and a second to approve the second reading and final passage of fiscal year 2021 budget amendment number 7, ordinance number 220.223. Let me pull this up here so we can let the public know exactly what this is. This is reimbursements, refunds of $20,865 and surplus from the prior year of $74,697.
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion by Scott and a second by Myron. Any question or discussion?
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Nathaniel County,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. One thing before we move to the next item, I want to say for clarification purposes, in case we have to, our county attorney is not present today because of COVID protocols. Some people that he's closely associated with have the COVID. He's tested negative, but is in a quarantine period, but said he would be available by phone if we had a question that we needed counsel on. So just if you watch this by video, if you see me pick up my phone, I'm not placing an order for dinner later. I'll be calling the county attorney for any questions that we might have. The next item is if you had a chance to review the ordinance regarding the sheriff's 4.25% commission for collection of fire subscriber fees, we would need a motion and a second to approve these. And I think we would probably need to do each ordinance independent. One to be first reading of ordinance number 310.25, and it's regarding the Woodburn Volunteer Fire Department. I think Marty was probably the only one on the court in 2018 when these ordinances were put together. I know Myron, I know you and Scott, we might have all been sitting here listening, but it's a fire ordinance where you could be a part of that district if you're within so many miles of that Woodburn Fire Department, and there's actually a fee put on your tax bill, and the sheriff gets a collection rate on that. But since that collection rate wasn't specifically spelled out in the ordinance, the auditors kind of wrote them up on that and said we needed to have that spelled out in the ordinance in order for the sheriff to actually collect that fee.
But I read through it, and you're right. This is for people in the Woodburn and the Plano Fire Department district, which a lot of it is mostly in, some of it's in Scotts, but most of it's in my district. And it's on a volunteer basis. If they choose not to do this, they don't have to do it, and it's not going to change the amount, the $50 a year that's added to their tax bill. So I read over this, and Of course, I'm not an attorney, but I'm sure Sam didn't have any problem with it either.
Yeah, well, Sam actually put these together for us and incorporated that and got it to us. And actually, there's no change in this ordinance other than the one paragraph about the sheriff's collection.
So moved.
So we have a motion by Marty. Who second? Scott? Had a motion by Marty and a second by Scott. So if there's no other discussion, we'll take a roll call on ordinance number 310.25.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Myron Thurman.
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. And so next, gentlemen, this other ordinance is just identical to it, other than it's the Plano Fire District rather than the Woodburn. It's ordinance number 310.26 that gives the sheriff the ability to collect that rate. Motion by Nate, second by Scott. I would assume no other question or discussion. It's the same as the last ordinance. So we'll take a roll call.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. All right, next, gentlemen, is we have an opportunity to renew the drug court lease agreement over at the Bradford building. If you had an opportunity to review that, I think the terms and conditions are the same as the current agreement we have. I talked to Bill Roars, our property maintenance supervisor. He said that was good use of the building, and his suggestion was we renew it. So
Is this just a yearly lease?
Yes.
I believe it's an annual lease.
Well, the way I read.
It's an annual lease with automatic renewal.
But on page 2 of 5, it's like it can,
Could we include that in this contract? That they had to provide us with a cell phone amount?
Could we include it in the contract? I mean, we may have to get counselor on the line.
Is this got to be done today?
What is the time frame on it, Nicole? Do you know what?
Duration, withdrawal termination, January 1st, 2021, expires June 30th, 2022.
Yeah.
The reason I ask that if you had something like that, that might be a way to find out that number. Because I would like to know that number too.
Yes, this one, Scott's pointing out on page 3, it says takes effect January 1 of 2021, which we're kind of behind on that anyway, but I mean, we just got this last week. And will expire June 30th of 2022.
I mean, it's not changing the amounts, and I don't want to hold it up if it's,
Yeah.
you know, because of that, it's
Well, we just
agreement.
don't know.
I think-
Cell phones out here, we just don't know what.
But, I
I
mean,
think
this
what-
is the agreement we've been under in the lease, or the contract we've been under. I
Since
don't really have a
2011.
problem with that contract. I just didn't know if that's
Yeah.
a way we could include it in there to,
I don't,
For
you
them
know,
to
on this
provide us
one,
the
it's not gonna change the dollar amount that we're having to pay, but I think as we go forward, this one expires June 30th of 2022. So we would have to renew going into the beginning of a fiscal year, July 1 of 2023. I think absolutely we could just make a request that part of the renewal agreement going forward is gonna be, we want the dollar amount that you receive on behalf of Simpson County cell phones.
I think that'd be one way of getting you. You could ask Sam, but I think that would be a way of,
Yeah.
that's information we should be providing.
And which, you know, and here's the thing too, and I think about this, that, you know, over the course of time, obviously the cost to operate does increase, which is probably one of the reasons they're not asking for an increased amount from us, because they've gotten such a huge increase in cell phone revenue.
Well, I'm sure cell phone use is increasing. You know, probably every person that lives in your family now has got a cell phone.
That's a good point there. Used to, every household had one phone. Now, if a 3 or 4 or 5 member household's got 3, 4, 5 phones.
Well, if they were getting, just for the sake of argument or easy number, if they were getting 50,000 when they started, and now they're getting 100,000, but their cost only went up 20,000, then there's 30,000 right there. You can see what I'm saying? If we knew those costs, their income from that phone, from the cell phones, and it might would actually help them see and us see that maybe they could actually do it a little cheaper for the county.
I would say this right here, since Mason has took office, he's been inquiring almost from day one. It was no luck.
Right.
And I mean, I talked to the guy with KSP that's supposed to have all the answers for the 911 operations.
We probably would be shocked the amount of money that the cell phone are bringing in.
That's the reason
Problem.
they don't want us to know that's the problem.
Your email doesn't specify a date that they have to have this signed and returned.
The email does not specify a date.
Now, it does have a phone number for the Mr. Hitchens to call. but-
Maybe we could just do that in the next one and have that in mind, because if you go changing this now, I mean, everything is consistent, but maybe before we renew.
When we renew
one.
again, beginning fiscal year 23.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that way they can, we would,
And I may include that with this signature sheet going back, that we're good through this June 30th, 2022. When we renew in July 1 of 23, we want an accounting of cell phone revenue included in the new
I'm
contract.
fine with that.
Because when 2010 or 11, was that the last year that they provided this information?
Well, it was the last year that we had that information. I mean, we had the information for ourselves because the collections were being done here. And KSP has never given that information. So we know what it was for the years from 2000, really partial 2011. It swapped in 2011, but partial 2011 going back, we know those amounts because that money actually come to the
I
county.
guess that's probably what I was looking at.
Yeah, we've not gotten anything since 2000, midway through 2011. But let's do that. If y'all are good, we can authorize this agreement, authorize the judge to sign it, but include with the correspondence with this signed document back that we want to request a cell phone revenue for Simpson County as we go forward into the July 1, 23 renewal.
It's fine.
Is that good?
So moved.
Motion by Marty, second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. On the next item, I'm going to ask for our Public Works Supervisor, Bobby Groves, if he would come to the microphone. We're going to discuss the possibility of just advertising for the mowing of county properties for the 21 mowing season.
This is something I've thought about the last couple of years. We haven't done it. Of course, in the past, we hire an employee seasonal, and the inmates do the mowing. Of course, this last year, we've had to have 2 of our employees mow, which was fine, but I'm not asking this that I think will save money, but I'm just thinking that, I want to see what it is so if it doesn't cost us anything, it might be to our advantage, because the employee that we've had for the past 6 years that's done that seasonally does not want to come back next year. And with the situation with inmates, it may be a point where we'd have to hire extra help anyway. So this at least give us a figure to work from.
What property are you talking about?
The yards, we have about 20
Are you talking about fire station?
fire stations, the courthouse yard, the
Good night.
tourist, the library, the coroner's office, just various properties in there.
Okay.
I also asked to include, I don't know how much this you have, but put this out for bid, ask for a separate bid for individual properties. Okay. What the
Zoning Administrator Carter Mundy come in. If you've seen on your portal some photographs of a piece of property on Vance's Mill Road, we had this discussion earlier And, you know, there's some planning and zoning regulations that's changed or has been changed that kind of gives us a little more ability to address some situations like this piece of property here. You all can see it there in front of you. Of course, Scott, this is out in your district.
I've got complaints about this 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So we're in a position, and Carter's here because he can probably answer some of these questions better than I can. But we're in a position now that if we choose to, because this is in a bank foreclosure, bank owned, is it Regions Bank? Regions
Right
Bank?
now, it's Regions, but, you know, they're, spoke with the Regions Bank in Alabama on Friday, and they couldn't find a record of where this particular property was listed in foreclosure, or whether it had been sold or whatever. So that's where we're at right now. He suggested that we send a letter requesting ownership, proof of ownership, and go from there, because right now we don't know who owns the property.
So I guess the question before the court is, do we want to authorize the P&Z administrator buying through the county attorney to seek out the situation here and levy whatever type of fines we have the ability to levy till we get to the point that we could actually take the property down?
Absolutely. I'll make the motion to do that. I mean, if you could just see these pictures, it's a safety, it's a safety. I mean, kids could go in that and it looked like it could fall down anytime.
I didn't have any trouble getting in it.
Because Carter had these pictures, you see these pictures from inside, and I said, my gosh, did you go inside?
Yeah.
And he said, I just walked right in. But I said, you're a brave man, because it looks like it could fall in on you at any minute.
Any minute.
I'll second his motion.
So we got a motion by Scott to proceed with some action, second by Marty. Any other question or discussion?
Right.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Carter. All right, next, I'm gonna, well, we'll just do it with discussion, action regarding employee fiscal court meeting attendance. And you guys have on your portals, when Sam called last night to say that he would not be able to be here, I asked him again about this situation. He said if this was a change we wanted to make, it would definitely need to be an amendment, an addition to the administrative code, which will require an ordinance and so forth. So the question at hand is about employees attending regular or special called meetings of the fiscal court while on the county payroll, unless they are elected officials, department heads, county treasurer or finance officer, the fiscal court clerk, department heads, or any employee that attends at the request of an elected official or department head for the purpose of providing information or being recognized for an achievement or job accomplishment. So my question to the court is, where are you at? What do we want to, how do we want to proceed from here?
I'll give you my opinion. It's always just opinion. I think that the elected officials and the department heads should be the ones regulating these employees rather than fiscal court. This is my opinion of this.
I agree they should, but this way they know there's no question of it.
Well, paragraph 6, if you read that, if any employee is asked to attend by an elected official or a department head for whatever, they can come. So that's the reason why I'm saying, I think that the people that are held accountable, they should be the ones regulating these employees.
And I guess, and I know the public's watching, they're probably watching, what are you talking about? Obviously, these fiscal court meetings are open to the public. You know, I don't know how long these meetings have been going on at 8:30 on a Tuesday morning. It was going on way before I ever became judge, and I'm not inclined to change that meeting time. Pam could probably go back, Pam and Nicole have been here a while. Has it ever been anything other than 8:30 in the morning?
No.
So my point being, everyone's welcome to attend. I understand that there are some people that work that maybe they would like to attend or something's going on. They have to leave their place of work to come to be at the meeting. I would never tell a county employee, you can't come to the meeting if you want to come, but I think the purpose here is if you're not an elected official, a department head, or if you don't have specific business to provide at the meeting, or if you're not being recognized for a job accomplishment or achievement, you just want to come to sit at the meeting, the expectation would be that that county employee would clock out to come to that meeting and then clock back in when they leave. So I guess the question at hand is, do we want to, I guess we've got two options. We can either send out a memo to the elected officials and department heads that here's the expectation, or we can make a code change in the administrative code and go that route.
I think we just put it in administrative code, go that route. That way they just know what, the employees read the handbook, they know what to expect. And I'll make a motion, I'll move on that.
So we got a motion to add this section into the administrative code. We need a second.
It's still gonna really be up to the department head whether they come or not. True. If they want them here, whoever, they can say, hey, y'all need to come. I need you here in case I need information on whatever. True?
The way this is written, they would only be coming if they were providing information or being recognized for an achievement or a job accomplishment.
So without
And honestly, here's the thing, I'm good either way. I'm good if we put it in the admin code. I'm good to, if we want to first try a memo out and make sure that everyone is on the same page and we all understand, I'm good either way with it.
judging from the past, what got us to this point, I guess the employee wasn't told, and if they was told, I guess they disobeyed the direct order. And going forward, if we just leave it up to the department heads or the elected officials, once that change, is the new one's gonna relay it down to the employees? So that's something you gotta look at if you don't put this in there.
Yeah, it's a good point. You want to second that motion?
Yeah, I second it.
All right, so we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? I think the motion carries. All right, gentlemen, next is y'all's favorite part of the meeting. You should have all received some information. I think it was just put on the portal yesterday, but you received it in an email either Thursday or Friday about possible action on elected official CPI increase of 1.4%. Thankfully, my position, the jailer, the clerk, and the sheriff, thankfully, we don't get to vote on our salary. Thankfully, the state just hands it to us and says, here's what it is, and we're good. You guys have put in a heck of a tough position every year.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Got a motion to accept the 1.4% CPI?
Second.
Got a second? Any other question or discussion?
I just thought it was quick, but that's fine.
That's a quick one.
I mean, we did take $100 cut last year, $100 a month cut, so.
We did, but my thinking, whether we're sitting up here or whoever's sitting up here, we could get behind from where we actually should be.
I don't remember the last time that the magistrates took the CPI. So, I mean, I'm fine with it because we haven't taken, I mean, and you're talking about 1.4%. So we're not, you know.
And I think, if I understand right, that goes across the board to the other elected officials, not just magistrates, but the county attorney and the county coroner.
Right.
They're all the other elected officials are included in this.
Not the county attorney.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
is the county attorney,
Yeah.
though. It is the county attorney.
Yeah.
In the same motion, or in the?
Oh, yeah, I need two motions, I don't know how many motions it'll be.
And
So
I'm
do we have to have a,
Last year we did county attorney, but not
Right.
magistrates, right?
do we need a motion then for each classification of elected official? I mean, it's only magistrate, attorney, and coroner.
I mean, there is two KRSs as far as, what title it involves, so I would suggest maybe that's the safest way.
And since we don't have counselor here, we'll defer to the county treasurer.
Okay.
So,
well, she's the one who does the math.
she's the bean counter, so we'll let her,
I agree with that.
yeah. So Scott, your motion is for on the magistrates.
Right.
Okay, so we have a motion. Who made the second?
I think the magistrate and the coroner can go together.
Okay,
That's under one KRS.
okay. So your motion is for the 1.4 for magistrate and coroner. Myron seconded. Any other question or discussion about that? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Now, if we want to do likewise for the county attorney, it would require a second motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Marty, second by Nate, to authorize the 1.4 for the county attorney. Any question or discussion there? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
Judge, I'm sorry, if you don't mind, let's revisit
Okay?
the admin code, because we actually, that will be by ordinance, right?
You are correct.
Okay.
So we do need to go
So
back.
I need to do a roll call, and that ordinance number will be 230.29.
230.29. Can we go back, can we remember that? The motion was Marty, the second,
Down.
and second was Nate. So you are right, we do need to roll call. I apologize.
Well, I do too. I was kind of confused on what we were doing, and, okay. So, Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Daniel Downing,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Myron Thurman. Mason Barnes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, I'm sorry, I wasn't, I knew I said it would be an amendment to an ordinance, but I'd let it get by me. All right, next gentleman, moving to financial business. If you had an opportunity to review the budget transfers, we just need a motion and a second to approve those. It's a grand total of $8,471.
Motion made.
Motion by Myron, second by Nate. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next gentleman is, county treasurer has put forth a request of $120,000 from the general fund to the jail. Let me give you a brief overview here before we move through this one. We had appropriated a little over $956,000 of cash transfer from the general fund to the jail. The current situation is the cash transfer remaining balance of that $956,000 is $162,142. There is a $39,274.54 bond left to pay out of that, and there's $10,994.44 remaining on expenses that are there for the control room, which actually leaves only a remaining balance of $111,873.02. Now, the math on this is that the current cash balance is about $13,500 to the negative. And to cover claims that were just approved and to be able to cover the payroll, which would come on the 12th, would be the $120,000 would leave an approximate cash balance of only $5,000. So here's the question. And I talked to the jailer yesterday about this. The one thing that I guess we're going to have to get started a little earlier on budget preparations next year. We can make a transfer today of an amount to cover the bills and claims, and we can have a special called meeting to discuss budget situations or how we will handle payroll week on the 12th. We can have that meeting next week. Really, we could have that meeting as far, I looked on the calendar, I'm good anytime on Monday or Tuesday next week. If we have a special called meeting to address. And because the point being,
You're out of town. Oh, you're not, okay.
the point being, there is not $120,000 to transfer based on the current appropriation. The current budgeted transferring. I had a discussion with the jailer yesterday that I would like to see half of this money transferred in out of the commissary.
I'll move to do 60,000 of that 120. We have a special call meeting next Monday to discuss how we're going to go further on this, but this is not contingent on the motion. I'll make that motion, but the jailer needs to know that by this time next week, there has to be at least 4 admin jobs gone. There's 8 there. They need to be combined into 4, and he needs to figure out how to get that commissary money in there, because if these steps are not taken, we're going to have to look at other means to house our inmates in this county. It's that simple. We're looking at
and here's
another $300,000 the way this budget is going, over that $900,000 that we already appropriated to go into the jail. And now we're looking at another $300,000 to finish this budget year out. We've got to do something right now, and it has to be done quick, fast, and in a hurry, or we simply cannot raise taxes high enough. We're maxed out on occupational tax. We cannot raise property taxes high enough to cover these kinds of expenses going into a jail. So I want everybody at the jail to know I'm not mad at anybody at the jail, but we simply do not have the money to keep funding that jail at the rate we're funding it. We're going to have to do something different.
And you know, I'm sure there's people that's going to be watching. Of course, the jailer's here. This is something we've been aware of all year long, and we've been monitoring and watching. And that's why, I've already worked on budget scenarios going into the next fiscal year, and had some conversations with folks at the state about the possibility of increasing the rates for the inmate. Here's the bottom line. We've lost a lot of state inmates, which has brought the revenue down a lot. Here's the but in all of that though. But from all appearances, it doesn't look like even if we get to post-pandemic, according to what I'm hearing from the people I talk to at the state level, that we're going to see those inmate numbers going back up. So, I mean, in fact, what we're hearing is that the state is really looking at changing some laws so that some Class D felonies actually become misdemeanors, so there are gonna be even less Class D felony inmates to house. So we got to look at the reality that we're as good as we're gonna get as far as state inmates. Right now may be the best we have going forward. Hang on. So just so the public knows that neither me nor these fiscal court members have been sitting on our hands. We've worked on 3 different budget scenarios, laying out what the budget would look like, where we're currently at, what the budget would look like if we only house just county inmates, then reduce personnel numbers quite a bit, or if we simply house inmates at a different jail and shut the jail down. And we're gonna have to examine all of that very hard. And as Marty said, we're gonna have to be doing it pretty quickly because things just aren't good right this minute. Jailer, you're welcome to come to the podium.
Do I need to put my gloves on or just put them on?
Just need to tell the truth.
I think I've done that from day one.
Can I say something while you're walking up there, real quick?
He was actually supposed to be here. I wasn't supposed to be here.
This,
Go to Mike, please.
this morning we had 38 county inmates. And I looked at what you showed him, and you based that off of 40 county inmates. Well, keep in mind, we also have 8 on ankle monitoring, and there's at least 48 more that have weekenders that have multiple weekends to do. So it's not just 38 county inmates when you're talking about putting these other budgets together. Plus, we have 1 year worth of citations. And those guys hadn't went to court, they hadn't come to jail yet. So this 38, you're probably going to be pushing 80 or 90 county inmates.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Well, that's gonna be the purpose of this meeting Monday. We'll have a special call meeting for this primary purpose
You
Monday.
and I talked yesterday afternoon, and I gave you the statistics or the averages. The problem is, you're correct. The state numbers are going to boom. We're going to do our best to hold our own. The problem is what he was bringing up. In 19, we had an average of 53 county inmates for the year. Okay, that was our average. And with the 50 weekenders that we've got waiting to flood us, we're going to have to deal with them. So our numbers are going to keep going high. I haven't talked to the sheriff, I have not talked to the chief, but I want those numbers. I'm going to ask them what their average is on putting citations on people during each week or for the month. That's going to give me a better idea of where we're really going to be. He said 80, I think it's going to be higher than that. And these are the ones that's going to cost us. So this is going to get worse. Now, Mason and I disagree on something. It's not anything personal. He called another jail. They gave him a number. I talked to the jailer. He gave me a different number. Okay? For what they would house our county inmates.
I talked to the county judge executive.
Right. I talked to the jailer.
Well, the county judge executive in that county talked to his jailer to give me the information he gave me.
Okay, we'll just get on past that. Anyway, so we're going to be looking at the bare minimum of housing in another county is going to be 31, 34 if we can get that done.
Well, we agree that the state inmates are down, that's caused us a problem.
Yes.
The thing, the thing, right, the things that we don't necessarily agree on that were, what's the purpose of this meeting Monday, we need some clarification on some things.
Okay.
Magistrate Poston asked a good question a few meetings ago, and I never did really hear a clear answer to that. How we get from 300 and some inmates to 200, so we've lost a third of the population, but the personnel count hasn't reflected a one-third loss. And then the other is,
I'm gonna draw this out. It's the only way I can do it for you. I'm gonna draw it out, we'll explain it in the meeting.
I mean, that's fair, that's why
That's fine.
we've got to get to the bottom of what we can do, and
Because I preach and preach and preach, the layout of that jail requires X amount of deputies.
Well,
And then you want to talk about admin. I don't per se have an admin, because my admin will dual roles. They're on the floor, serving trays, cleaning up, they're relieving for lunches. I mean, is that admin? No, it's not. It's not.
then, and I mean, here's the thing.
But there's admin spots that goes along that comes out of, that takes off right there.
well, Eric, the self-adjusting thing, it's working. Now, here we are, 7 months into our fiscal year. And we know if we keep tracking the way we're going, we're gonna lose a third of our estimated revenue. We're gonna lose a third of our estimated revenue. So the things that can adjust, they're gonna self-adjust without. And they don't, and they're all doing that. But what fiscal court cannot allow, we're not gonna let that jail break Simpson County. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. And I don't have any answers as far as your staffing goes. I mean, I've been to the jail, I've looked at every section, I don't know if I've got it with me today.
And Myron, you've been in there and you know exactly what we do, so I'm glad you're saying it.
I know that, but what I do know is that when I go back, I can go back 7 years here. We got some years right here when you guys were housing on the floor, so to speak. You've explained to me what that means. I didn't know it. Can you explain it to me? We've got some years right here that above the bond payment, we was less than $100,000 above the bond payment.
Look at the.
But we have a lot of inmates there. We don't have that now. So we're gonna have to adjust. In some form or fashion, honestly, I don't wanna close the jail. I wish we could find this sweet spot to where that the jail did not need no more. I'm gonna take the bond payment out because that's not fair, because you guys didn't create it, we didn't create it. But I've got years right here, 4 or 5 years, that shows that jail operated with less than $100,000 to transfer money above the bond. And here we are now, over $500,000 and growing daily. So we're gonna have to get to that spot, because like I said, you guys have to run the jail, but these 5 guys up here, we're gonna have to figure out where the money's coming from. And it's not pleasant to raise taxes for this. And there has to be a solution. There has to be a solution.
I agree with you, and you're talking about raising taxes, and that's fine, but I want to make one thing clear. And I looked at every budget.
we're not talking about raising taxes.
I know, I'm just saying, you mentioned. You don't have to, but I want to make one thing clear. We're doing the best that we can do, and if I can find any other monies that we can come up with, I will. I did that last week, at your request. Or with Florida. But I want you to know, we ain't the only one. As far as the agencies know, but this is coming. This is the way I'm proceeding. This is the way I'm hearing it. The jail. I'm not the only one that's taken from the county. I want to make it clear. So,
But it is the only department that is so far out of the budgeted parameters.
I'm the biggest loss in the town. So I will be. I am the biggest loss in this town.
Yeah, so I want to make sure that the people listening to this are very clear.
Yeah, I
That-
want to
that
make it
there
clear.
is no other department nor any other agency in the county government that is outside the bounds of the budget that is set forth.
Eric, is there, I don't know if you had time or not, I asked,
There's a reason for it, you know.
is there a, have you had time to come up per cost of an inmate?
We was putting numbers together.
55
In Marion County, we were.
You told me it was $55 and something. You told me it was $55 and something.
55.1 something.
So that's kind of what, pretty close to what.
Right. Because we were talking to Marion County, he's been talking to Marion County judge, I've been talking to Marion County jailer, they're at $69 per head, we're at $55 per head, and we are apples for apples as far as, I don't know what their county is, does it match up with Simpson County?
What county-
Population wise,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, probably
The
close.
jails are apples for apples.
What was that county again?
Marion.
Marion County. Well,
And he can give you contacts, I can give you contacts,
the
they're.
reason I'm asking, now, today, I don't know how many of Dare County inmates we got. But if we've got a cost of 55, I would like to see those guys leave today if we're only getting $35. Now, I can't tell you this right here, I can't tell you whether this is legit or not, but I've understood that we're housing some Adair County inmates, so Adair County can get more money for housing other county inmates. I've heard that now.
Well, it's not funny at all. Me and Mason were talking about it just old jailer over there, he's pretty slick, but he is doing this. He from what Mason said, he's shipping out his county inmates to another county, housing them for whatever, and bringing in for other counties and housing them at a higher rate. I think that's unethical, but.
I think he should get his back today, like mine said.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, we should
here's
just,
the thing. I don't disagree with that, but I didn't know that was going on.
No, we'd be far better off soliciting just like they're doing. So, hey, man, we'll house inmates for $45 a day, or whatever that number was.
I was on some training, some virtual training, and this happened to be brought up, because I brought it up, but everybody, a lot of counties are having the same issues that Simpson County is having.
Right.
I did hear Adair County, and the people saying, well, you know, they're getting X and X amount, and I'm like, wait a minute, we've got Adair County inmates getting $10 less.
I'm telling you straight up, when he told me that yesterday, did I not look at you and laugh? I was like, are you kidding me? But anyway.
But there's also counties that has jails that are self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Now, there's a
In-
handful.
Yeah, it's very few. It's very few. I know Henderson is.
well, one of them's just right up the road.
Huh?
One of them's just right up the
I'm
road.
just checking in on that.
Well,
I think
I know
is it
I
6
want
dollars,
to say something, but I.
6
I
in the
can't.
state of Kentucky that are 6 jails in the
That's-
state of Kentucky.
That's what I was told.
How they're doing.
So, but, and Eric, I want you to understand, and I want everybody to understand. Chad, all the people at the jail, all the people watching this, I'm gonna speak for me. I think this is the case for the other 4 guys here. There is no vendetta against the jail. It's not like anybody's coming after the jail. It's not like anybody has, any kind of axe to grind with anyone at the jail or any employee at the jail. And you're right, we've lost some revenue.
We've lost a bunch.
And here's the thing, what Myron's saying, and I know you're not gonna like what I'm gonna say right now. The things that self-adjust have self-adjusted. The things that don't self-adjust, we've counted on you to adjust them, and it's not happened. And we have to figure this out.
Okay. Yeah, they don't like that. But I can smile about it, because I know that I've done the best I
I'm trying to understand the commissary. The commissary is the only fund, listen to me. The commissary is the only fund in the entire county budget system that I have practically no understanding of. I asked you yesterday. Listen to me. You gave me bank statements for 11 months of 2020. I didn't get December, because December hadn't come in.
Because you said
Those
both
are-
the magistrates wanted it.
Yeah, we
He
wanted,
said he said he didn't, so one of these two magistrates wanted it, and that's what I provided for.
well, we got those, and in those 11 months, there were about $400,000 worth of deposits made.
Pass-through account, just like.
Listen to me, you're right. Then, so I assume if December was an average of the other 11 months, there was roughly $440,000 deposited in the commissary. My question to you yesterday was, if we deposited $440,000, how much of that money had to be used to cover the actual expenses of the commissary, so that if no other money other than just the absolute necessary expenses were covered out of it, what would be the balance of that $440,000 left at the end of the year? And your answer was?
It's a pass-through account. There was about, and you wanted to know a number that's in there right now. And I told you there was about 170-ish in there, which 170 of it is not accessible. About 160 of it is. And I also told you yesterday, I'm tired of fighting over this dadgum commissary. I'm tired of fighting. It costs me an employee to go and pass out that commissary. When they get overwhelmed, I have to pull admin to assist them, okay? I don't have to have commissary. I don't have to have it. I'm telling you, you, and you. I don't have to have it.
Get rid of it.
That's where I'm going, Mason. I'm tempted to write you a check for the whole $160,000 or whatever it is to change. It's not going to go south. But we're done with the commissary. We're not going to get on hold. We're done with it.
So
But I will give it to you.
you'd rather do that?
Marty, y'all keep asking me for it, and I can't give it to you, but do you go after the sheriff's drug fund? Do y'all do it that way? No, you don't.
But
It's the commissary. It's set up the same way. And I have explained and explained. You asked me to do something that
You got
2 meetings ago, and I
$6,000.
did it.
But you'd rather say, I'm done with it,
I'm tired
as
of
to
arguing.
say, I'm gonna try to figure out a way to balance my budget.
It's not that.
That's
It's not
exactly what you
that.
just said.
You can't balance it with commissary money, Marty.
You can help here.
I gave you $100,000 this year, sir. $92,000. No,
And
let's get it right.
Well, here's,
And now we're gonna be 300
All right.
more over what we budgeted. over
We're
what they
gonna-
budgeted.
Sheriff goes back to, I can't
Hold
help, I
up.
lost $1 million. and
hold
we-
up.
Sir,
We're gonna set a time to have a special meeting Monday. We'll hash through all of that, because we've got to figure it out.
that's fine.
Okay,
I don't have a problem.
all right.
But I'm just saying, I'm willing to do it to squash this, whatever.
Okay, we're gonna have we'll set a time for a special call meeting Monday, and we're
But
gonna,
I want to say this too. We want to cut employees that brings that commissary money in.
I said combined jobs.
Jobs have been combined.
Eric,
we're gonna
the
have,
only place to cut.
we're gonna have a meeting Monday specifically for this topic.
Fair enough.
Okay.
He asked, real quick, he asked a question about employees and cuts. In 2012, we had 32 employees and roughly 220 inmates. Well, when we went up to 300 inmates, we added employees. Right now, we're at 234 inmates, and we have 33 employees. So we've moved our numbers of employees back down from where we were, back to where we were in 2012, when we had the same amount of inmates.
The difference is,
The difference is they're not cash paying, or not as many,
well,
as you would say. I don't want to steal your line.
that's his line. Whatever. And then
How many of those 230 are state inmates today?
193. The difference is, yeah, you give people increases over a 7 or 8 year period, where we've helped the county make up for those increases over that period by adding more state inmates instead of putting the burden on the county for the increases and the increase in retirement, the increase in insurance. We took that burden on those inmates. Well, now those inmates are gone. They're not there anymore. We've adjusted our employee numbers back down, but your costs are still there for those 30, the increase in the cost over a 7-year period are still there.
Yeah, but I think you would agree, we got a major problem.
Yes.
You can't run a business when you're gonna lose a third year of revenue. Won't happen, you can't do it. I can't do it. I don't know how to do that. So we do have a major problem. I don't have an answer.
sir, if I
But
had
I
an
would-
answer, I would give it to you, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
I would like to say this here. The pandemic has caused us some unexpected problems. A lot of this, the reduction of state inmates, you have zero control of that.
Been trying to get.
So,
I'm gonna tell you this, the last meeting that we had, that day, and Mason and I were talking, I had 24, 26 offered to us from like Kenton County and another, or Hardin County, and then another 14 from Kenton County. Well, I could have took them all. The DOC won't let me, because they said we were not going over 100%. But I had them lined up to get here.
what is that, I mean, bed wise, what is that number? Is it?
231, 232.
Okay. So, today, if you have time, will you look into this in Dare County? I'm not into losing money having somebody else's inmates.
I'm gonna look at you, and I know where you're at. His laugh told me I already talked to him. What do you think? Yay?
I just said it.
Yeah, he's already said it.
Or you just tell them, we got
I got this.
we need $45. We need $45 a day. I don't like being sucker punched.
Well, I didn't know I got such a punch for yesterday. But anyway, yes, I'll take care of that.
Yeah, because I can promise you, if we'd have had that information when we had that vote, it'd have been a no.
I promise you, I wouldn't have brought it to the table.
I know you were doing what you could to bring in more revenue.
I was trying. I didn't know that was going on. I never even.
But at that time, I didn't know what our cost was. Maybe I should have known, I just didn't know.
All right, so Marty had a motion to transfer in $60,000 from the general to the jail. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Myron. I heard Myron and Nate both. I heard Myron first. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review the bills and claims, we would need a motion and a second to approve those bills and claims.
Second.
Motion by Myron, second by Nate. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, now into reports. Let's work on a time for a special called meeting Monday. Is
8:30 is fine.
8:30 good?
What time normally make?
8:30
I can. I'd rather do it in the afternoon.
Oh, Monday, I can do it Monday afternoon.
When you say Monday afternoon, 1 o'clock?
Well, yeah.
You gonna do
That
it
would
1
be much
o'clock,
better,
1 o'clock Monday afternoon?
Since we're doing late, you're gonna provide lunch for everybody?
We still on.
Is 1 o'clock Monday afternoon good?
Yeah.
So we'll have a special called meeting Monday afternoon at 1 o'clock.
More or less a budget hearing.
Just a budget, it'll be a budget session. All right, so then moving to reports, real quick, Bobby and I were on the phone call with, the state. I guess every year we go through this deal where the state puts forth, things that are in the works and lets us rank them, our top 5. So Bobby and I looked at those top 5. Again, the number 1 priority that we would like to see the state do is fix the turn lanes on 1008 at the intersection of 31W. That is the worst mess. It was the number 1 rated project in all of the Brad last year and got nothing done.
And while you're at it, tell them if they had, I've said it over and over, if they had to pay for all the semi-trailer tires and wheels they have run on that curb, they could pay for a whole interchange probably for that. Because it's not wide enough for those trucks to swing out, and they hit, all you gotta do is look at that sidewalk, which they told me they designed the sidewalk for trucks so that the trailers could drive upon. And I don't know what genius come up with the idea that you design something people walk on, that trucks, that semi-trailers can drive on. You know, that doesn't even begin to make sense. But that needs to be moved back about 10 foot.
What about lighting there? I mean, it's hard to say. They've got lights, but there is no light over the turn-in on 1008 off of 31W.
You're talking about traffic light or
Talking about street lights.
street lights?
If they had one, if they just moved the other, you can go through there at night, it's,
Yeah.
especially if it's raining, it's really hard to see now.
Well, and what our big request here is to actually have a true left turn lane on, that would be the west side of 31W.
Bluegrass.
Yeah.
But anyway, if that gets,
That again was our number 1 priority from the state of the 5 that we prioritized out of a list of probably 15 or 16 different projects. That was the number 1 issue again.
Is there anything on that list, and it's right in that area, but somebody's gonna get hurt bad one of these days on 31 right there where that water comes across the road out of the TSC parking lot.
Yeah, there's nothing on the state's list to address that.
When it rains hard, that right-hand lane is standing full of water. And it's simply a poor design when they put that in. That needed to have a tile put underneath the parking lot of TSC where that water would go underneath that parking lot and down to that stream.
Yeah, because it sheets over the road there.
oh, yeah.
It just sheets over. Yeah. Nothing in these plans they gave us for that.
When they come back, I'll tell them again.
All right, the only other thing that I have is, the planning and zoning meeting tonight has been canceled. Again, it's due to, COVID protocol. The county, or the P&Z attorney would not be able to attend, so they've postponed that meeting tonight. So if you're watching, you intended to come to the P&Z meeting tonight, it's not gonna happen. Carter, is there a rescheduled date yet? Okay. We'll notify the public when that meeting is rescheduled. All right, Marty?
I'm just gonna let the rest of the guys know that I, myself, and Mason got included in a text message from a property owner out by us thanking us for getting a tree cleaned up that neither one of us even knew anything about.
Yeah.
But I thanked him for, I told him he was welcome, but I also give all compliments to Bobby and the road department. They, once again, they did, we don't even know all the things they do, which is fine with me, but they do a really good job, and it's nice when somebody just acknowledges how good a job they do.
Yeah, in fact, I replied back to it. I wasn't even aware the tree was down.
I wasn't either, but when somebody says thank you about something like that, I always say you're welcome. But I went on to say that, we didn't have anything to do with it, but. And that's all I have.
Nate?
Yeah, just a little announcement from the Parks and Rec, about baseball sign-ups. They will be having baseball sign-ups on March the 13th and March the 20th. That's 2 different Saturdays. And it's gonna be from boys from 4-year-olds to 15-year-olds, and girls 6-year-olds to 16-year-old softball. And the location is gonna be out there at the Ag Building.
Okay.
And it's gonna be just those 2 Saturdays for now, and I guess they're gonna see how the numbers do, if they need to extend it any further out, then at that point they will. But right now, it's just March 13th and March 20th. Sign-ups out at the Ag Building.
Okay. Sir?
Yes, sir.
Myron? I'm not gonna call the, county attorney just to get a report. We,
Pay your taxes.
yeah, pay your taxes, that's what he would say. I guess the jailer has left, county clerk's not here. The deputy sheriff is with us today. Matt Freeman, anything from the sheriff's office that you'd like to address? It's your opportunity to get on camera and say something to the public here in Simpson County. Huh? I've never seen Matt Freeman turn red before in his life, and he's red. Point the camera over to him, we need to see him. Matt, we love you, we appreciate you being here in place of the sheriff who's at the sheriff's conference this week. Bob, anything? OEM, Bill, anything from maintenance? Carter, anything else from P&Z? Bobby, anything from the road department? Nelson, anything from the fire department? Motion to adjourn?
So,
Motion by Marty, second by Nate, all in favor, aye? Aye.